And now we bring you Southeast Asia Bulletin. Today, nopparat1 joins us from Bangkok to update the news from the region. Hello, Nopparat.
Swadikap and greetings from Bangkok. We start our Southeast Asia Bulletin in Indonesia, where thousands of people took to the streets on Thursday. They were protesting against President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's first 100 days of his second term. He won an overwhelming victory last year, but is now facing one of his most difficult times. Some 15,000 people gathered peacefully in major cities across the archipelago on Thursday. The protesters demanded that the government step up efforts to fight corruption after a series of high-profile scandals. They also called on the government to increase the minimum wage.
We've seen a big zero during the first 100 days of Yudhoyono.
Two corruption scandals have dogged Yudhoyono's administration in recent months. First, two officials of the powerful Anti-Corruption Commission were detained by police in November. Many Indonesians see the arrest as an attempt to unfairly target one of the few institutions people think of as credible. Then there is Bank Century, a small Indonesian lender that was given a $700 million bailout by the government. Meanwhile, in Aceh province, which is still rebuilding itself after the 2004 tsunami, former rebels and tsunami survivors are trying to reconstruct the community and economy of the region.
For decades, Indonesia's Aceh was a conflict zone. More than 10,000 people, many of them civilians, were killed in the fighting between the Indonesian government and rebel groups. The killer tsunami that struck Aceh on December 26, 2004, put an end to decades of fighting. Rebels laid down their arms and began looking for jobs to feed their families. Some of them have become farmers, including Tunku Ilyas, a former negotiator of the Free Aceh movement.
I
think it isn't too difficult for the ex-combatants to rejoin society because they are able to return to the rural areas they came from.
Ilyas set up a cattle farm on the hilly land, which used to be a rebel stronghold. He recruited ex-combatants to work with residents from nearby villages in the hope that these former dissidents can reintegrate into society.
We want to make the Aceh people prosperous and give them job opportunities, and besides, we were already tired of fighting.
There seems to be a strong willingness to forgive the fighters. Local residents who had suffered from violence for years seem to have forgotten about the past. They have elected two former rebels as provincial leaders.
The community can accept the former members of the rebel group, so we can return to a pre-conflict situation.
However, some still doubt if the peace will last, because many former rebels are not eligible for the government's help and are still trapped in poverty.
There are, I'm afraid, tens of thousands of ex-combatants are still without jobs, victims of conflicts. And not only that, youths who are jobless. And this is a potential danger for the peace process.
More than 5 years have passed since the tsunami hit Aceh. The people of the region are determined to create a better society.
Turning to other news, a 3-day international meeting on tiger conservation ended on Friday in Thailand's popular resort of Hua Hin. Participating nations aim to double the number of wild tigers by 2022, while doing more to save the natural habitats of this majestic beast. On the last day of the gathering, ministers from 13 countries with tiger populations adopted the Hua Hin Declaration to mark the end of the first Asia Ministerial Conference on Tiger Conservation. All participants pledged to use money from ecotourism, carbon financing, and infrastructure projects to pay for tiger conservation programs. The declaration will be presented for approval at the Global Tiger Summit to be held in Russia in September. And that wraps up our Southeast Asia Bulletin. I'm nopparat1 reporting from Bangkok. สวัสดีครับ
Thank you, Nopparat. And next, world weather with Rachel Ferguson coming up. Stay with us.
Hello there, welcome to your World Weather Update. Well, it's quite a clear day across the East Asian mainland. There is a band of rain, though, developing in southern China. That's going to intensify into tomorrow as a